Xavi Simons to Manchester United is real, as the latest reports coming from France suggest that the club has been monitoring him for quite some time. My name is Webb. This is the Netherlands Sport. Let's get to understand what's going on in this other department that clearly Ineos have consistently been trying to look for an option to add to our creativity. So the latest story coming in from the Equipe in France, it's suggesting that Xavi Simons has been monitored and tracked by Manchester United for about a whole year. United has clearly monitored his situation. The thing is, Xavi Simons is a very young player. He's only 21. He's certainly in that, I think he's in his formative age as a footballer. He's still learning a lot of things, and that's why he's a player who would make sense for Man United to join what Ineos are building. But the thing with Xavi Simons, he doesn't seem to fancy playing for PSG. Since PSG, because he first played for PSG, they sold him to PSV, and then they had a buyback clause in his contract. Then they bought him back for about 6 million euros in 2023 and immediately sent him out on loan to RB Leipzig. He did not seem to fancy, since he returned to PSG, he did not seem to fancy playing for them. He probably didn't like the way they treated him. I think when he was leaving at first, I don't know. I cannot really speak for them, but it clearly you seem to get a sense that he's not a player fancy, because think of his style of play, the fact that he has had a decent Euros, scoring a stun of a goal in one of the games. You would have thought, I mean, they have a Spanish coach, Spanish manager in Luis Enrique. This is the kind of player you think who would fit into what Luis Enrique would be trying to build with PSG, with the players that are trying to bring in Joao Neves, Victor Osimhen. You would think this is the time for Xavi Simons to make sense for Paris Saint-Germain. But for some reason, he doesn't seem to fancy playing for them at all. That his loan spell at RB Leipzig ends, and immediately he confirmed it, I think, at the Euros already, that he wants to leave and then go to another club on loan, or probably be sold permanently. So it's clear there is something not going on, perhaps some bit of bad blood between him and the club. So what's happening is that he has been talking to clubs, and Man United seems to be one of the serious clubs interested in signing him on loan, mostly because I think what's possible now so far is getting him on loan from Paris Saint-Germain. So it seems United has been holding talks, and this cannot be far-fetched, whereas it has not been reported by your David Ornstein or Fabrizio or the usual suspects you know. The fact that it first of all is coming from France, but also because the Equipe has broken some decent stories when it comes to footballers from France especially. But the other thing is, Ineos, we know, has always wanted to sign a winger, and we understand why, because the wing position is so important that clubs spend a lot of money. United itself has spent so much money to try and get the right winger, because in the modern game, your best players usually come from the wings. It's not really, we don't have those lethal number nines, not so many of them. Of course, you can mention Erling Haaland and Harry Kane, but you would struggle, maybe Osimhen, you struggle to find a lot of other number nines. Up to now, Arsenal is struggling to find a number nine who they clearly need. So most of the clubs rather, rely a lot on the players who fly from their flanks. That's why you will see Kylian Mbappe going for so much. You would saw Bukayo Saka, Nico Williams, the best players fly in mostly from the wings lately. Those players who help you a lot in terms of getting the goals. Mo Salah, you can name them. So Man United has lacked the right player in the wings. Garnacho has come in, but of course he's still so a growing player. He's still trying to develop, but also he's not your your uh, your Kylian Mbappe. He's not, he can grow into that, but he's not there yet. So clearly, United know they need a player to bring life to that wing, to that wing position, and also to add creativity, because we've noted that whenever Bruno didn't have either a good game or was not in a game at all, Man United was short of creativity completely. There was no creativity at all, to say the least. So Ineos have been clear, because it doesn't make sense for you to build whatever they're trying to build, and then you reach the season and there is no one to make it make sense, because the creativity from the wingers will make the whole unit make sense in this modern game. The way teams play, you need active wings. United paid 85 million quid in the hope that in Antonio dos Santos they were getting the right player. They were player, which clearly is not the case. So that is a bit of why I feel this Jamie Simmons loan is something we need to take seriously. I think it's extremely possible that Simmons might join because he plays both as a winger but also as an attacking midfielder who can come and play 10, who can be inverted. So he gives us options. And you think of a game where you've got Simmons, you've got Zaxi, Hoyland, Bruno. These are good players to add to your attack. That's when if you have a solid Ugarte in the middle behind them to shield them, it gives you a different dimension because this is the kind of nice expansive football we want to play. And he's Dutch, and you can't rule out the fact that our entire technical team is Dutch. There is something in it. So you think he would make sense to be got on loan? Perhaps they could add in an option of buying him if it works. And he probably, being a loan, all we'll be meeting is perhaps a certain percentage of his wages, which I don't think are too much. I don't think he's earning a lot of money. He scored eight times and assisted, I think, about 7 for RB Leipzig during his loan. So he's good. He's a decent footballer who can certainly grow into a world beater. So the reports that are coming in suggest that United are serious about Xavi Simons as they've been monitoring him for some time. Now, Ligt, of course, people then will ask what's going on with Ligt because there seems to be a certain silence about him. It is not for the lack of action around him. In fact, don't be shocked if we hear a big progress story coming in later tomorrow or something. So, Ligt is still waiting for Man United. The talks with Bayern are ongoing, but probably now the focus is a little more on Manuel Ugarte, as perhaps Man United are trying because the Joao Neves move with Paris Saint-Germain, with Benfica and between Benfica and Paris Saint-Germain to be a shift. So that is perhaps why Man United want to now sell Ugarte. Then they can go back and deal with Bayern who are trying to rip them off. So, but nonetheless, they are still handling all these deals. United are trying to do several deals in situ to try and get in as many players as possible at the earliest. That's why they brought in so many people. The Christian Vivos, you can wonder why we have a Christian Vive, Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth, and now a CEO. About 4 people trying to do the same things. Of course, now these are the ones we know, but of course they have teams they work with. So that's why we're able to get deals done so fast because there is a big team that is invested in doing this work, not like before, where you had some, okay, I don't want to, let me not keep going back to the before because again, I need to give a certain level of respect to the team that was there before, before the Ineos team. But anyhow, so there is progress going on when it comes to these transfers. Now, there is someone who was saying that we are talking about all these players we're trying to bring in. What about the departures? I mean, how we're not letting go of enough players fast enough. But I don't think we should worry about players who have to leave. I think players are contracted, and when a player is contracted, it's not easy to just let them go. They need to want to go wherever you want to take them. I know that, for example, a club like Arsenal right now, who are hoping by now they would have sold Riccardo Calafiori. The issue is in one of their players, Curio, does not want to join Bologna as a make weight option because AC Milan is interested. So their deal up to now is stalling, yet they agreed personal terms with the player between Arsenal and the player, Calafiori. So that's just to give you an example that if a player doesn't want to go, I can give you an example from Man United. A classic one is last season when West Ham wanted Harry Maguire. United had accepted the 30 million quid West Ham were offering, but he refused to go. So letting go, if you say I won't buy before I let go, you might never buy. That's why at times perhaps we ended up buying late, but also you only do that approach only works if you're in a complete sell to buy situation. And luckily, Man United seems not to be in a sell to buy situation for some reason. There's so many accountants that Sir Jim Ratcliffe brought in at Man United when he figured out how to get the money. We don't know how, honestly, and I'll do my investigations. I'm still doing my investigations to understand how magically Man United all of a sudden has a lot of money to spend, even before we've sold any player. And I will get to know why, and I will tell you. That I promise. Just subscribe, like, and turn on your notification. At the right time, I'll tell you where this money came from. But the thing is, if you're not in a sell to buy situation, you don't rely on, because you need to talk to these players, find the right clubs for them. Are they fit? Now, you look at Man United players, some of the players who want to go are not exactly 100% fit. Harry Maguire has ended the season injured rather the what's his name, Victor Lindelof as well, of course, wanted by a couple of clubs, but all our players are not sellable. We clearly know that. You look at a player like Anthony, we want him out, but wanting him out is not, you're selling a cake on the streets, or a piece of chicken on the streets. It's not an easy, deal, because he's not the most attractive of players. So you look at it and you're thinking, we're stuck with them a bit. So does it mean Ineos shouldn't do anything because these players are still there? I don't think so. So if they have the money, bring in other players you want in, and if the rules allow, you have that number of players, or you don't register some of them. So you find a way of dealing with it. But I don't think the fact that we haven't sold so many players should, fetter our process of signing. But also, I think there is a confidence they have that some of these players will anyway eventually go at some point, really, in this summer. The summer is still young. I think for me, it's better we focus more on the incomings, the Casemiros and the likes, all the players you think should go, will go. And if, for as long as the new kids are coming in, certainly they will get room for the others. Very important. Now, there is also one update that I'm just seeing that is saying that Man United is close to sealing Adrien Rabiot. It has just come in now as I spoke. I saw a notification. Let me read it for you. And of course, I know quite a number of people who do not want to hear about Rabiot. Adrien Rabiot is getting closer to join Man United. The player prefers Manchester United to Liverpool. This is now coming in from someone who has got 19.3k followers. I've never seen this guy, honestly. The guy who has been quoted. Who is this? But it seems to be, which language is this now? No, this is French. This is a French journalist. I was first de l'entourage la discussion avec two clubs anglais. Well, two clubs anglais. This means that there have been ongoing discussions between two clubs. Yeah, I know my French. Adrien Rabiot sort of de Man United libre de tout contrat depuis le pasteur Hochot. Le joueur préfère Man United à Liverpool. L'entourage en discussion avec les two clubs anglais, two clubs from England. Anglais is English. English clubs interested. Two English guys. I am done. Like, share, and subscribe before I start trying to fake my French that I last learned about, I don't know how many years ago. I was in senior 2 when I last did French. I did it for my first 2 years in secondary school. Honestly, I would struggle to construct a sentence really. But anyhow, very soon in the coming days, the Olympics will be on, by the way, in France, in Paris. Paris will be hosting the world to the Olympics. And of course, rally behind your team. I will be rallying behind my native team, Uganda, obviously. But of course, I'm for sport. For me, sport knows no borders. So I will support anyone who does well. But of course, hoping that my native country performs. And when I go back there, I need to be, celebrated as someone who championed my country whenever I go back there. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much. So with Rabiot, well, I hinted about that story. I told you he was talking to several clubs after turning down a new contract from Juventus. But I'm at Man United and Liverpool are the clubs, some of the clubs he's been talking to, and he would prefer Man United apparently. But again, this is still a developing story. The transfer window is still young, and I will be back to give you more of it. Cheers.